Like, you know what?
It's going. All right, well, good evening. It's 7:30, and we'll go ahead and get started per our schedule. Give everyone a moment to get seated. Thanks everybody for taking the time to attend. I know it's getting close to the holiday season. I know that tonight's the opening night for Star Wars movie, so I'm glad you don't let everybody leave now. So again, thanks for taking the time. Our goal here is to get as much public input as possible. We're here, this is again for the Egloff Drive improvements. This is public meeting number 2. Make some brief introductions. My name is Aaron Christie, project manager with Dowell. I also have Michelle Ritter here from Dowell. She's leading our public involvement and is a senior land use planner at Dowell. Chris Wood is here. He is our senior civil engineer. And then Todd Jacobson, who is managing the project on behalf of the municipality of Anchorage. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump right in. We have maybe a 15-20 minute presentation to give everyone an overview of the project, talk a little bit about how this project originated, why we're doing it, go into the details of some of the comments that we've received and how we are addressing those, and talk a little bit about schedule, budget, and then open it up to questions. We'll also be here until about 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. tonight, and we will not be here all night in case there's any questions that people would like to discuss one-on-one. Something exciting to announce, something that we're trying out for this project that I haven't been involved with directly before, is we're actually streaming this presentation online so that folks can watch from the comfort of home. And if there's any questions, they have the ability to type those in, and we'll be monitoring those as we go. And Michelle will be looking at those questions and letting me know what those are here towards probably the end of the presentation. She may interrupt me if there's anything that we need to discuss as we go. So if anyone missed this presentation, or if you know of anyone who's missed this presentation, I believe the intent is to record it and then post it online so that there's an opportunity to watch it at any time or for a second time if you're that excited about this. Brief project overview. The goal here is to improve this roadway to collector standards. It is defined by the municipality of Anchorage as a collector road. Add a little bit of landscaping, although we've certainly heard that not a lot of landscaping is needed. Here we are in Girdwood. Add pedestrian improvements, improve the drainage, which for anyone who's driven down Egloff Drive during the summer or during breakup, or maybe during any time, certainly knows that it's an issue, and add lighting along the roadway. And you can see here, just to be clear, where the project is. We're of course here in the community center. Starts up here at Alaska Highway, continues all the way around here to the second driveway that circles around the backside of the community center. The reason we're going about that far is that's about as far as we think we can get with the budget that we have. We tried to go as far as we could from Alaska Highway down around the corner. I think that's about as far as the additional funding or the current funding gets us. Existing conditions, not a lot to report there. Fairly basic existing road cross section, enough room for a couple of travel lanes and some shoulders, and then drainage exists to some extent along various portions of the corridor. A little bit more about the purpose and need. Again, we're trying to improve this roadway to collector standards. As this corridor has developed over time, here with us, this great facility, the library, community center. Of course, we have the park, the tennis courts, the baseball fields, and the radio station, and of course the fire station. As those facilities have developed, the road has stayed the same. Traffic has increased and really doesn't adequately support the uses that are currently ongoing along the corridor. And by developing the roadway, it allows for potential future development further down the corridor. Maintenance costs are currently an issue, and by especially with regrading, by paving and improving drainage, those maintenance costs will go down. And the idea is to separate vehicle and pedestrian corridors and really increase safety by having everyone have their own spot within the corridor. And then we're making sure to coordinate with the ongoing MOA project and DOT projects, and we'll talk about those a little bit more here further in the presentation. So our public involvement to date has been extensive. We've completed the concept report, design study report. We've had multiple presentations to the Land Use Committee, the Girdwood Board of Supervisors, Trail Committee, various agency meetings. We met with the fire department. We met with Heritage Land Bank, municipal engineer, municipal traffic engineer. We met with the librarian here at the community center. We've navigated our way through the P&Z process, and that is complete. We had our initial public meeting, which included a site walk. The conditions were certainly nicer than they are today. And both the final concept report and DSR are posted on the website if anyone's interested in accessing those. So where are we today? We've just recently submitted the 65% design, and that's what's illustrated in the roll plots in the back. The 65% design, I believe, has also been posted to the website, right, Michelle? Yes. Okay, so that's also on the website if anyone wants to look at the details. We recently submitted the flood hazard permit, and of course are currently participating in public meeting number 2. Kind of upcoming tasks and steps that need to be taken are a presentation to the Urban Design Commission, the UDC, in January, which will then be followed by a presentation to HLB Advisory Commission as part of some of the easement acquisition for this project. So other projects in the area, talk a little bit about those. The Girdwood Volunteer Fire Station is going through an expansion and renovation process, which includes an addition of 3 new bays, roughly extending to the north. They're on a very similar design schedule as this Egloff Drive improvement project. 95% design is anticipated in January, with bidding in March and construction in summer 2016.
Spring.
Maybe even spring, perhaps construction will even start in spring.
I want you to back up to that other slide back. It says the design, 95% of the design is done by January 2015.
That is a typo, good catch. January 2016. We all have to get into the habit of writing 2016. I made a mistake once today when I was selling something. Good catch, thank you. Other projects in the area, 2 DOT projects along Alyeska Highway. They have a resurfacing project that will extend from Seward Highway to Arlberg. That is it's a federally funded preventive maintenance project, so largely consists of repaving the roadway. The idea is to repave the roadway before it falls into some level of disrepair and try to be proactive with that improvement. And then they also have pathway rehabilitation, which is a state-funded project. It will be from Forest Station Road to Crow Creek. And you can see there what that project is. They actually, right now, the pathway is typically about 10 feet. They're going to expand it and make it 12 feet. They're expanding it towards the roadway. They want to keep the swale roughly the same size, and so as a result, the roadways, the shoulders are going to get narrowed up by about 2 feet. So those projects will be able to be intended to combine those, bid those together. Kyle, do you want to, as part of the Alyeska Highway resurfacing project, we talked briefly about where things are at with the intersection. We've certainly been, we've heard comments from the public about concerns with the existing configuration of Egloff Drive with Alyeska Highway, and we've certainly been doing what we can to enhance the safety there within the means of our project, as has the DOT. Kyle, you want to talk a little about where that's at?
Aaron?
Yes.
Before you go on, how effective is reducing the width of the roadway as a traffic calming measure?
Yeah, there is documentation that it helps. When people don't see as much pavement in front of them, it tends to slow down traffic.
And so that, that narrowing of the roadway will happen just after you go across the bridge to come into Alyeska Highway?
Up to Crow Creek, yep.
Okay.
Along the, along the links of where they're planning
Yeah,
on rehabbing
okay.
the Woodland Trail.
As to what Aaron is talking about is the pedestrian crosswalk light here at Egloff and Alyeska Highway. Right now we're working with DOT to get an agreement with them to install that light. Girdwood Board of Supervisors has approved funding the lights. We still need to get that funding nailed down so they know if they can afford it or not, but we're working through this agreement to get it done. DOT is adding it into their construction to put in conduit to make that available so that we can install it pretty easily once we get it approved. So right now,
If it gets improved.
If it gets approved.
There's no guarantee.
No approved.
I know everyone's doing what they can, but there's no guarantee.
And right now it's caught up in legalities, and so legal's looking at it from the state side, and then the uni's going to have to look at it from their side, so that's all going to have to be worked through.
Thank you for the update. Is there a question, Sean?
Well, if you could repeat back the questions, they can't hear out in the audience. So if you,
Okay.
when you get a question, if you can repeat it before you answer it.
You bet. That's right. I will. So far, what we do believe is going to occur, the direction the DOT is going right now with their improvements. And this gives you an idea. So here's Egloff. So this is beginning right about here and going south is this Municipality of Anchorage project that we're discussing tonight. Here, of course, is Alyeska Highway. This gives you an idea of what the proposed new striping will look like. So the idea is to narrow up the roadway using striping here, have striped crosswalks at both crossings, and then have advanced warning signs for pedestrian crossings, and then have a sign right here in this striped median that alerts drivers to pedestrians having priority for the crossing. The idea is just to make it much more, give the drivers much more visual cues through the use of signage and striping. So currently that's the proposed in the DOT's design. And with these signs here, I believe they have to be removed in the winter. They probably only stand about that tall. And of course, any kind of big snowstorm, they inevitably get wiped out. So these signs here in the median would be only up during non-snow plowing periods of the year. One other thing that we do plan on adding as part of our project that I think will enhance the safety is that the Municipality of Anchorage is looking at the possibility of adding intersection lighting as part of this project. So we would have a 30-foot tall light at each corner to enhance illumination and make everything more visible in terms of crossings, so that drivers can see people who are there at the programs. Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to have an actual traffic light right there is what you're proposing?
No, sorry. So the question was whether there's actually be a stoplight. No, there's no blinking lights or there's no proposed stop lights at that. What I meant is a street light, meaning illumination.
Okay.
So to improve visibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying.
No, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on that?
Why haven't you put a crosswalk across Egloff Drive for the traffic that crosses the highway south on the Alyeska side? See, one of the problems now, and there's going to be fatality there sooner or later, these kids come up to cross the highway, and so they cross, right now, in order to comply with the way it's marked, is they have to cross on the Alyeska side, okay? What they do is they cut diagonally across to get into the park.
Right. Make them over here afterwards.
Yeah, and so,
So the
they're
question-
still going to do that, even though you've got two different areas, they're still going to cut diagonally instead of crossing my tower and then coming across the road.
And so the question was, why isn't it striped here?
Yeah,
or
why
here?
aren't you striping that for a crosswalk?
Yeah. And I believe the answer is, it's not a signalized intersection and there's a stop bar.
Well, that is signalizing the intersection going the other direction.
Right, but there's no stop bar. So it's to indicate that crossing location. There's no, it's not stop controlled. So it's to provide some indication that pedestrians have the right of way there.
They don't have the right of way in Egloff Drive.
Well, there's a stop bar, so their vehicles are already
I'm
stopped.
sorry?
There's a stop sign and stop bar, so the vehicles are already stopped. We'll look at it. We'll look to see if there's, you know, and give you a more detailed answer. But I believe that's just the typical striping design, reasons for striping. Yes?
And the pedestrian operated light that's proposed, that's all just through GBOS and the municipality
In the state,
and with an agreement from the state?
If, and just to be clear, if it happens, currently there's no agreement and there's no guarantee that that's going to be moving forward. And everyone's trying to do what they can politically to make it happen, but so far it's not part of the project.
Is that light proposed to be on the side of the roads, both directions?
You can say if it were to happen,
Yeah,
I don't know the specifics.
yeah, I think if it does happen, it would be on the sort of the Merck Park side. And that's the predominant route we see there with kids going back and forth. It wouldn't be at both intersections, it'd just be at that one.
And just on the right-hand side?
Correct, yeah, if you're looking at it right now, Looker's left intersection.
Yes, ma'am.
And the cost of this project is what?
I'll get to that in a moment. Let's
Okay.
see that here. Just a few more slides. We have a few more slides. I'll kind of, yes, ma'am.
Just one other thing, what can we do as a community to make sure that this project goes forward as we are hearing, and that we get our added flashers?
So the question was, what can we do to make sure the project goes as proposed, and then to get the added flashers? As far as proposed, in terms of what the DOT is showing, I mean, I think if you like anything here, I think just let folks know about it at the DOT. Anything that you like with the Municipality of Anchorage project, you know, let's make sure we discuss it. I don't believe that this funding's at risk, Todd. In terms of the flashers, I need to talk with Kyle. He knows the details about whether anyone else should be contacted or influenced.
As always, we run into trouble, we'll be working through GBOS and the community to help us resolve that.
Okay,
I'll keep you in the loop.
okay, I'd like to get the jump on it.
Yeah,
So Kyle's answer there is just working through the GBOS
yeah.
and really spearheading this effort for the flashers.
We're trying to get something back from the state here for GBOS's next meeting as to where the agreement is and what their stipulations are within the agreement.
A few design standards and guidelines that are guiding us through this process. The Girdwood South Town Site Area Master Plan, Title 21, Chapter 9, which is Girdwood specific, MOA Design Criteria Manual, and design and posted speeds are all things that we're having to pay close attention to as we proceed with our design. Some public comments to date. Parking and connections to existing parking areas. So we'll point that out here in a little bit about how we're trying to do our best to maintain some of those existing connections. Another comment was to consider connections from proposed multi-use trail to Iditarod Trail. And again, I'll go over that here when we get to our concept figure. Possibly provide trailhead parking for Iditarod Trail. Maintenance reduction through drainage and surface improvements, and certainly that's something that this project will accomplish. Consider a grading road that does not get paved and improve drainage to end of project corridor. So the idea there is that where the pavement ends, but the road that gets used to kind of grade that out and improve the drainage, and that is part of the project also. To grade everything from where the pavement ends all the way down to the intersection with Coriolis. And then certainly been multiple requests to encourage us to continue to coordinate with the fire station expansion, and we certainly have been doing that. Here the proposed cross-section. Looking from left to right, we have a proposed 8-foot multi-use pathway with 2-foot gravel shoulders on either side, 9-foot swale for drainage, and primarily be to the benefit of snow storage. Then have, depending on what the section looks like, if you have a 9-foot parking lane for parallel parking, that would then be combined with a 2-foot gravel buffer before you get into the swale. And then in areas where there is no parallel parking, you have a 3.5-foot wide paved shoulder in combination with a 5.5 feet vegetated buffer. 2 11-foot travel lanes. And then as you get over to the developed side, on the fire station and community center side of the roadway, you have a 2-foot curb and gutter with a 3.5-foot shoulder. In this case, there is no parallel parking here. As the project evolved, we determined there was no viable place for parallel parking on the west side of the roadway due to site distance. We have a 7-foot sidewalk that will be attached at the back of the curb, and then some snow storage area for light poles. Okay. And then I think it's important to emphasize that currently the right-of-way is 60 feet. In order to accommodate all of these facilities, snow storage, parking, all the things that are required on a road like this, especially in Girdwood, you really need 80 feet for a right-of-way. In addition, that's the required right-of-way width for a collector road.
What have you done to add that extra 20 feet that we talked about in the past?
That's what we would need. We need to get a 20-foot easement in order to get
We
to
talked
it.
about that. I wondered what you've done to secure that.
We've been coordinating. Okay, so the question was, what are we doing to secure that 20-foot easement in order so that we could have an 80-foot right-of-way? So that's a public use easement that's being coordinated directly with HLB. HLB owns all that property on that side. Those are the folks that we've already been in talks with. They already have permission from their advisory commission to sell that 20 feet. So we're working on that process now.
Is that a sale, or is that what I heard you say?
So, the HLB Advisory Commission gave the HLB the right to dispose of Tract D5, which is a large portion of that 20-foot easement is part of. There's a small portion of it that will be on Tract 1, so the adjacent property to the east. And so when we came to the Girdwood Land Use Committee and the Board of Supervisors, we got a letter of support for that 20-foot easement and the drainage easement that's going to be required. And the final step will be taking that, and we've kind of put a letter together outlining our request, and we'll go to the Advisory Commission to secure the little sliver that's on that Glacier U.S. States Tract 1, as well as the drainage easement. And that will be January 14th.
It'll be what?
January 14th. And it will be handled through, sorry, one more point on that. It will not be a sale. It will be handled through an intergovernment permit. So it's similar to a public use easement, but because it's one municipality agency to the other, it's an IG.
Okay, and just a few more slides left. A little bit more about the drainage. The idea is to have storm drain along the west side of the roadway, which will then discharge to a detention pond, and any overflow would go to a drainage easement and ultimately to Glacier Creek. Right-of-way requirements and acquisition, we talked about those, 20 feet length of existing right-of-way, along the length of existing right-of-way, and then one 20-foot wide drainage easement. Lighting would be of the same type and style as that currently that exists over on Hightower across the Alaska Highway. Okay, here's the figure. There's a roll plot in the back. Go over some of these points briefly again. We touched on them already. There is a proposed staircase right here. That's something that had come about as part of our public involvement process. Some folks had requested maybe those stairs going in there. That's the natural route for folks, especially kids, to cross the street, head towards the park. So the thought was if the project can afford it, again, the budget's very tight on this, to add those stairs. So we're keeping an eye on that. We have, again, lighting here at each corner. We have some connections to this existing gravel trail, which follows along the south side of Alyeska Highway. We've got some drainage swales, and you can see here, this pathway comes up next to the roadway and would allow access with vehicles, you know, if there's some kind of, different comments, if people want to be able to unload vehicles for various picnic activities and park activities at the Lions Club Park. This would allow vehicles to drive across and park down here to unload. There's also this corridor here that leads down to Glacier Creek. Again, you could come across this trail and go across the swale and access this existing corridor. Drainage would come down here to this existing drainage pond, or detention pond. And then as volumes became high, it allowed discharge this direction. And then here at the end of the project, we're proposing some additional grading to improve drainage and maintenance. Okay. Estimates. There's a question on what is the current project estimate. Construction costs estimated currently just over $1 million. We're still at a relatively early design stage. We've got a contingency in there, other administrative costs and design costs, some potential for utility relocation and right-of-way acquisition, certainly all roll up into the total project costs, which is about 2.1, 2.2 million. The current funding, state funding for this, I believe is at 2.1. So we're close. We're very close to the existing funding. We're going to have to keep a real close eye on what gets added to the design. We'll have a better idea once we get to 95% design level on exactly where we stand from a budgetary perspective. Okay. Project schedule, going to be submitting and proposing to UDC here in January along with HLB Advisory Commission. Expect design to be complete in March, all 2016 dates, and begin construction in this summer. Okay. Any questions?
Do you see any reason that funding isn't going to come forward for this?
I see no reasons, Todd. Any concerns from you? Todd shaking his head, and so no concerns.
Repeat your question, I couldn't hear it.
I'm sorry, were there any concerns for funding? Any funding going away, disappearing? Reasonable concern given the state budgetary situation, but this project funding is dedicated to this project. Any other questions? Michelle, anything online?
No.
How many people have participated online?
We've had 20 total views, and the most watching at one time was 4 people.
Okay, so there's been 20 total people have logged in at some point, 4 people watching at the same time. Thank you all for participating online. Hopefully this has been convenient and worth everyone's while. This will all be recorded, and you can listen to everything again if you'd like, in case you feel like you missed anything. With that, I'll conclude the presentation portion of this. We're going to be here, we finished on time. It's just short of 8 o'clock. We'll be here for another hour if needed to answer any other questions, have additional conversations. Thanks everybody for attending.